On today's show, we'll take a look into why Ottawa Senators fans should remain optimistic despite some key areas that need to improve.
And a Sens player has earned NHL's second Star of the Week. We'll tell you who.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Today is Monday, November 3rd, and it is a rare 4 full days off for the Ottawa Senators between games. And Pillsy, I'm just going to pretend like the weekend never happened in sports.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an Ottawa Senators, Toronto Blue Jays fan, not a great weekend for you. But, Ross, at least you're not an Ottawa Senators, Toronto Blue Jays, and Cincinnati Bengals fan. Your Chicago Bears got the wild win. But, yeah, tough one this weekend, as both the Jays and the Sens had it right in their grasp, and they let it slip away. But we did get a highlight reel Tim Stutzle goal.
That was sick. And Tim Stutzle's been playing some unbelievable hockey as of late, really since Brady Tkachuk went out of the lineup. But more recently, he's been putting on a highlight clinic around the National Hockey League. A few great goals for him, and he's on a tear right now. He's currently riding a 5-game point streak where he has 4 goals and 9 points during that stretch. But it wasn't enough on Saturday night, as the Senators gave up the game-tying goal with just 2 minutes left and then lost it in overtime to those merchant overtime Montreal Canadiens. They were the better team, though. Ottawa only mustered 17 shots on goal in this game. It just wasn't enough. It was one of those where, yeah, we're getting kind of used to Ottawa clawing back into games once they go down, but it's not a recipe for success, and they really need to work on these starts. Like, it's such a cliche, start on time, but Ottawa's made it their mission to like go start from behind. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's wild. It just continues to be a trend, a pattern, and we've come to expect it at this point. And there's things as a Sens fan, Ross, watching the game, it's so obvious. Like, as soon as Cole Caulfield gets that puck on a breakaway, goal. Like, that one's going in. As soon as the Montreal Canadiens get a power play, goal. They're scoring there, 2-0 Habs. And at that point, you're thinking, okay, how badly is this game going to go for the Sens? But credit to them, like you mentioned, they find ways to give up the lead, but then claw right back. And then Tim Stutzle with that highlight reel goal gives them the 3-2 lead. I didn't feel safe with that. And as soon as you saw that unit where Demidov and Hudson were on the ice and they give and go, and Demidov gets it back in the middle of the slot and one times it, like that was my worst nightmare, seeing Demidov and Hudson play around with it in the O-zone. And tough, because I know what Dylan Cousins is trying to do there. He's trying to get ahead of it, but Demidov was 2 steps ahead of him, and him and Hudson already read that play, and it's too easy for them to score that one to tie it up.
And Ottawa was just huffing for gas at that point in the shift. Yeah. They were put down low in their own zone for a full minute. Perron couldn't get it out. Jensen couldn't get it out. Shabby couldn't get it out. And all of a sudden, it's in the back of your net. And that's a tough visual for Dylan Cousins, just flying into the middle and nowhere to block the shot. So unfortunate. And then in overtime, Drake Batherson might be the worst giveaway of the season. It was so bad. Like shades of game 2 against the Leafs, where it's like he did. I wanted so bad. And if you checked out the postcast, I know we had a lot of views afterwards. People might have been busy Saturday night, but we are your team every day. I wanted so bad to give him a standout. And it wasn't just for the offensive production. I felt like he was being physical. He was doing all the little things that make Drake Batherson a top 6 productive forward in the league. And then he just gave it all away on one pass.
Man, I bet he had a sleepless night knowing he did not get the Sens Central standout from Ross Levitan on the Locked On Senators postcast. That's a tough one. We'll get to Drake, what he did earn later on. But I'm just so confused by that play, Ross, because I watched the replay a couple times, and when Drake goes to get that puck by the bench on the boards, he puts his head up and he sees where Shabbat is. Now, Shabbat, instead of coming closer to give support, oddly goes farther away from Batherson. I don't understand that play from Shabbat at all, but there's no excuse for giving a backhand pizza up the middle on 3-on-3 overtime. Like, Alex Newhook's not going to get a better opportunity than that. And as I was saying before, as a Sens fan, you just know when things are going bad. As soon as Newhook gets that puck, I might as well have shut the TV off and known what the result was there, because that was an easy goal. I have little to no confidence with Linus Ullmark on a breakaway. Now, he did get a big save on a Lane Hudson penalty shot earlier. Kudos to him. But it just seemed like any breakaway or any one-on-one opportunity, even Ullmark doesn't seem confident. Like that Caulfield goal, Ross, he makes the save there and he knows he doesn't quite have it and it slips through and then he ends up knocking it into the net. Now, it probably would have trickled in anyways, but there's just that feeling where you watch a goalie and when they make a save, they're already looking behind them. You got to be stronger and confident in your positioning and in your ability to make those saves, and Ullmark just doesn't have that right now.
The same thing is to be said for Linus Ullmark's game now as it was last week. He makes big saves and lets in untimely goals that is costing this Ottawa Senators team because they're going in far too often. If you go by goals saved above expected, which we believe is a very good indicator of how a goalie's playing, it takes into account the quality of the shots coming at him. He's dead last in the National Hockey League with a -8.
And it's not
means
close.
He's allowed 8 more goals
Yeah.
than what were to be expected of him. Samuel Montembeault, who the Senators were able to get to for 3 goals on Saturday, is second last in the league. Levi Marilainen, with only 2 games played, is 7th. So it's been a struggle for the Senators goalies this year. Tough time to be a goalie-friendly show, Pillsy. Yeah. It's just the same old story where you're playing from behind, and whether it's a save early in the game or late in the game, both ways were found in the back of the net by the Habs on Saturday. Gotta cut down these mistakes. It felt like it used to be, Pillsy, with the Senators, maybe in like the heart of the rebuild or late 2010s, where it was they would allow a goal at any point in the game, and then a second one would go in within a minute. Yeah. But now it's like to start games and end games, it's not a recipe for success, especially at the start of the game. And we'll get into that more a little bit later. But Linus Ullmark, look, we had his back in the Chicago game because you look at the goals, they were difficult. And that's fair. He's actually got the 6th best save percentage on high danger shots in the league this year. But yet he's dead last in goals saved above expected. Like, the math doesn't really add up until you watch the game, because there are a lot of these medium danger shots, whether it's a screen or a shot from just outside the slot, that are finding ways to beat him. He's got to bear down here, because at the end of the day, you are what your numbers say you are. And there's only so much room where it's like, oh, well, there were tough ones in that game when you let in 6. For the season, having a 341 goals against and an 861 save percentage, that's just not going to cut it for a guy making over $8 million a season.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Now, Ross, I'll try to spin this positive Pillsy glass half full style. It's incredible that the Ottawa Senators are still in the thick of the mix here. Now, the Eastern Conference is wild right now. 1 point separates teams from being either dead last or third in their division. So it's tight right now. Every point matters. But the Ottawa Senators are finding a way to be right in the mix with no Brady Tkachuk, their captain, their leader, often their leader in goals, big part of their team, and with having absolute garbage goaltending. So if they're able to get that goaltending to, let's say, up from garbage to below average.
Recycling?
Yeah, we'll call it recycling.
It's still empty and you don't need it, but you're doing something good with it.
Yes, yeah, or compost maybe is in between garbage and recycling, but let's get up to recycling. I like that.
Yeah, because compost still stinks.
Yeah, yeah. Or where's burnable garbage? That's in the mix there somewhere too. That's probably below garbage actually.
Hot garbage would be.
We're at burnable garbage right now. Actually, when I lived in the country, Ross, on the farm, there's two garbages: burnable and non-burnable. So that's a way you can sort things. So if they can move up from burnable garbage to compost or recycling in goaltending, and then get Brady Tkachuk back, like this team could find themselves in really good spots. We're seeing really good performances from guys like Tim Stutzle, Shane Pinto. Artem Zub is finding ways to put up offense. Like there is some highlights. The power play is pretty solid. There is some highlights to this team, but they have an Achilles heel. Well, two of them. I guess everybody has two heels, but it's goaltending and penalty killing. And every time those opponents are able to just go and flick them in both of those heels and they crumble every single game.
Did not expect to have a spectrum of garbage on today's show. But while we're at it, then where would you put the Sens PK on that spectrum? Because after 3 games in a row, funny enough, 3 games that they win in regulation where their PK was perfect against Philly, Washington, and Boston, well, it hasn't been good anymore. It's back to being an Achilles heel, where they've allowed a power play goal against or more in each of the last 3 games. Opponents' power plays are at 50%, 4 for 8 in the last 3.
Yeah, Ross, when your goalie is dead last in goals above expected and your penalty kill is dead last in penalty kill percentage, we're putting both of those at the burnable garbage level. That is a smoldering garbage can that still has lots of fuel left to burn.
Well, the good news is that with these days off between games, there's time to work on the penalty kill, work on getting that first shift. And what else have the Senators been up to? We'll get to a news update on the other side, and then the 2 ways to analyze this Senators start. And it took a lot for me not to dive into it in this first segment because there is a part that plays into it, but there's one really positive outlook and one really concerning one. So we'll have those conversations next and give some love to the NHL's second star of the week. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Now that the World Series is over, let's get to hockey, football, and basketball. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Everybody knows basketball games, it's all about those last couple minutes, who wins, who loses. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch about a half a year ago, and I already feel more focused and dialed in on what my financial picture is. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together. It's clean, easy to use, and on your laptop or your phone. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get half off your first year. All right, Philsy, the Ottawa Senators back on the practice ice this morning, and they were joined by a familiar face. Shelly Kettles, the Senators skating coach, was out there with them, putting them through the paces. I'm happy to see that we're starting the week not building towards Thursday. See some hard skating, some hard practice atmosphere. They haven't had a lot of that recently, so good to see them out there going through the work that will hopefully show off early in the game on Thursday.
Yeah, Ross, if I would have seen a Sens optional skate tweet, I think I would have lost my mind. Like that, I don't know. I'm not in the room. I don't know where guys are at, what Travis Green's idea or goal is for the amount of optional skates they've had. I'm sure there's good reasons for it that on the outside looking in might not make sense to us. But for a team that has clear issues, dead last in the penalty kill, maybe work on the penalty kill.
A little special teams.
No, the power play is fine.
Hasn't scored in 3 games.
Yeah, I mean,
they scored 7 goals in the 2 games before that, but I would have liked
still
them to go
top 10 in the power play. So if we're talking about things that need work on,
totally,
it's the penalty kill.
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa's actually in the last 3 games got more shorthanded goals than power play goals. They got 1.
Okay, well then get the power play unit out against the penalty killing unit and work on them both, but the emphasis needs to be on the penalty kill. I don't know if you did this, Ross, but we back in the day, you would do the penalty kill drills where the power play guys had to flip their sticks upside down, so it's a lot more on positioning and things like that. So there's a little Pillsy coaching method that maybe the Sens can work on.
Hey, maybe they can get out the back to basics banner for what the Senators need to accomplish. The Senators' next game is in Boston on Thursday, a Bruins team that is 7-7-0 so far in the regular season. Really up and down for them recently, but for Ottawa, they already waxed them 7-2 once. It's not about the Boston Bruins. It's what the Ottawa Senators can do to allow themselves an opportunity to start the game on time, which is where I'll get to the negatives so far this season. And we're going to wrap the segment up with the positives so we can roll into some more positive news that came out in the National Hockey League today. The negatives. You know that the Sens have allowed the first goal in 11 out of 13 games. So we took a look into the numbers a little bit deeper. That sucks. But it's even worse, it feels like, when that goal happens almost immediately. And it doesn't always have to be 29 seconds into the game like it was against Philadelphia, where that was the only goal they scored. First shot of the game, by the way. But in too many of these games, they're allowing a goal against first and in the first 10 minutes of the game. You cannot have this as a trend throughout the season. 9 of the 11 goals that they've given up first have been in the first 8 minutes and 1 second of the contest.
Yeah, it's too quick. And hey, FanDuel, goal in the first 10 minutes. If you've been riding that all year in Ottawa Senators games, you'd be looking pretty good right now. But
10-3 record. Yeah,
it's insane how bad this is. And you've asked me a couple times, Ross Pillsy, how do you fix that? I don't know how you fix it when it's that much of a problem. Even if the Sens aren't the ones to score first, Ross, you got to find ways to keep it 0-0 in the first 10 minutes.
Easily. And the only game where they got past the first period but still gave up the first goal was the home opener against Nashville. It took 32 minutes for them to be able to light the lamp. But this is brutal. And then I don't think it's worse. I think that is the worst part, is the first 8 minutes of the game, first 10 minutes, first half period. Let's lock in. And let's make sure that we're protecting the front of the net, not giving up breakaways, and then feeling the game out beyond that. But in 6 of these games, they've then allowed the second goal, and often it's within 10 minutes of the first goal. So I know it was more of a problem at the start of the season where it happened in the first 3 games, and they got that one comeback win against Tampa. But the first 3 games, you go down 2-0 in the game. Well, it's now kind of rearing its ugly head again because the Montreal game brought some flashbacks there. And now that's 2 of the last 3 games where you've been down 2-0. And in Chicago's case, Ottawa was down 4-0 before they started that comeback where they had 3 goals in a quick succession.
Yeah, going down 1-0 is one thing, Ross. The score for any hockey game, well, most hockey games, is going to be 1-0 for one team at some point or another. That's just how it goes. But being down 2-0 is where you're really starting to put yourself in a bad spot. And then you kind of have to make your game plan about being more risky offensively to try to catch up. And that's when you can make mistakes or over calculate how much offensively you need to do, and then you have odd man rushes going back the other way, and that makes it easier for opponents to make it then 3-0, or at the very least create more ozone pressure where you're not able to get chances to score. And Travis Green prides himself in this team on its defensive structure, but when you're down 1-0, 2-0 to start games, you can't really just hold that defensive structure unless you're confident that good defense is going to create offense eventually, which sometimes it does, but it can't be every single game, or at least most games.
And then wouldn't you like Jordan Spence in the lineup, who can move pucks and tilt offensively? And I just don't understand Travis Green's logic with this, because when Jordan Spence plays, he's playing a fair amount, if not a lot, in his game. But when you're looking at it from Matt and Palo's perspective, if he's in, he's playing just a bottom pair role. So doesn't that just tell the whole story? It's like when he's in or on the bench, you use him more, but when the guy you replace him with is in, you're not using him nearly as much. Jordan Spence is averaging 3.5 more minutes per game than Matt and Palo is when he's in the lineup. I just don't understand it. And I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, but the reason is it keeps happening and it keeps being a problem, because you could have used some offense in the lineup there. And Nick Jensen's a whole other story. How long are they going to roll him out when he clearly just needs to catch his breath and get his body right so he's ready to rock and roll? I swear, if we get down the stretch and he's taking every maintenance day like last year, but still playing games, I'm going to lose it. And it's not Nick Jensen's fault. The athlete wants to play no matter what. It's on the organization to take what's best for them and how it's going to impact the game. So that's the negative look of why things are where they are. Worst in the league goaltending, worst in the league penalty kill, and you fall behind early in games. But there's also some reason for optimism, and I'll leave into it with this stat. Despite the tone of this episode, despite the way that they're frustrating to watch, the Sens are 4-1-2 in their last 7 games. They have 1 regulation loss in their last 7 games. And there's a reason for that. We'll get to it next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets, it could be a total headache sometimes between waiting in games, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your favorite team. But that's where Game Time comes in, and they give the advantage back to the fans. It's the ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I'm looking at the Boston Bruins up against the Ottawa Senators, Ross, and you can get in. There's seats for as little as $58 US. You can get into the game, and hey, if you're a Sens fan, use away games as excuses to travel. Boston, great city, go check it out. Why not? It's a game the Ottawa Senators are hoping they can win. Last time they dominated the Boston Bruins. So use Game Time, because what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees at checkout. They got zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25 sometimes. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, guys, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
All right, Billsy, I got a great photo from a friend of the show, Sens Central citizen Shmuel Bolka. There was a man looking fantastic at the New York Islanders Columbus Blue Jackets game.
Okay.
A number 12 3D Sens jersey. Now, initially, I'm like, is that one of Shane Pinto's boys, right? Number 12. But
Long Island.
He never wore the 3D jersey, only for his draft day photos. That was it. Is this a Marian Gaborik jersey this guy's rocking or what?
Well, and didn't Pinto start off with 57?
Started with 57, then he was 12, 22, 12.
Yeah, so this we're pulling it up here on YouTube. Yeah, man, he's looking sharp. Is he even have the matching Sens hat too? This guy knows what he's doing. I guess it's a Marian Gaborik jersey, which is an all-time hilarious Ottawa Senators jersey.
Yeah, I think it might just be jersey foul Shane Pinto. I think the betting lead would be minus money for Shane Pinto just being on Long Island. But I think the story's better. This guy's rocking a Marian Gaborik jersey, number 12.
Either way, wearing a 3D Sens jersey to Islanders Blue Jackets game is just great fashion.
Great fashion. So shout out to that guy. Sens fans are truly everywhere, and we love to see it. We do love to see the Sens are 4-1-2 in their last 7 games, right?
It doesn't feel like that. Like it seems more doom and gloom, but that's just because there's dark clouds on all of the same issues.
And 2 of those games, 7-1, 7-2. Like they smack teams around during this stretch, and we're still like,
And Ross, I got good news for you. What day of the week is the Ottawa Senators next game?
Thursday.
The Ottawa Senators have played now 1, 2, 3, 4 Thursday games. All of them wins. The Ottawa Senators simply do not lose on Thursdays. Now, all of those games are 1-goal wins, 5-4, 4-3 shootout, 2-1, another 4-3 shootout. But Thursday is a great day to have the Ottawa Senators play hockey, so we can look forward to that. If we're talking about trends that continue, there's one.
I would hope so, because the Ottawa Senators fan base needs a win, and they need one where the power play goes 1 for 3 and the PK goes 0 for 2, and they get some great
Whoa.
saves.
We want the PK going 2 for 2.
Oh, yes. The opponent's power play. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip, was it?
Seriously.
Oh, my goodness. But the fact that Ottawa is sitting where they are without Brady Tkachuk and with the limitations that they have had, like, there is some room for optimism. And then I'll take it a step further. The Ottawa Senators' schedule's been pretty ridiculous in the last little while. 6 games in the last 10 days. They've had alternating home and road games for the last 6. You go 1 game, plane back, plane there, plane back. I don't know if they take the train or fly to Montreal, but you're there and back. It's just been so discombobulated so far. And it even continues later this week, where the Senators have a back-to-back on the weekend, at Philadelphia on Saturday, and then home on Sunday to the Utah Mammoth. Great team. That's going to be a big battle coming up. But that will start off a 4-game homestand, then 4 days off. Then they start a full road trip where you'll actually be able to pack for a week and know that you're going out with the boys and having a really tough trip, where it's California. They stop in Dallas, St. Louis, Vegas on the way back from it. So it's going to feel more like a regular NHL schedule rather than all this hopping around the East and just going, even Chicago for one game, second half of back-to-back. It has been a gong show schedule for Ottawa to start the season. And I think that as long as they can avoid turbulence, no pun intended, for the next little while, that they'll be able to settle into that homestand, settle into a road trip, and have the wins start piling up a little. The wins are there. The 4-1-2. We said stay above 500 without Brady Tkachuk. They're doing that so far.
Yep.
But they could do it, giving us a little more confidence too.
Yeah, and a little less stress. Now, the good thing, Ross, Boston to Philly, at least that's not a far trip. And the Philly game is an afternoon game. Philly to Ottawa, not that bad either. Also,
afternoon game and revenge game and homecoming game.
That's where I was going, Ross. If you got some shekels available on FanDuel, put them on Claude Giroux props in Philly, afternoon game for Claude Giroux. We love to see that. But yeah, the schedule hasn't been kind to the Sens. But Ross, that's something where you got to look at and you got to say, hey, if you're feeling the pain of the schedule now, that likely means it's going to turn around for you later and you're going to get a better schedule later. So that's not terrible. Honestly, I would rather have them go through a tough, grinding schedule, in November. If Gord Stellick's old line, if you're going to stink on the road, go to California up against Western teams in November. And if you're going to stink, obviously you don't want that. But if it happens, it happens. And I would rather an easier or at least more kind schedule when Brady Tkachuk comes back. Win those games at home up against Eastern teams when you're at full strength. So just trying to find some positives here, Ross. Maybe I'm reaching, but
No, I don't think you are. I think there's a delicate balance between understanding where they are, which is again jammed in the middle of the pack, where it's not like these wins have gotten them ahead. It's just kept them afloat in the mix. But there's also some things that like this cannot continue being a team that has these clear weaknesses where they aren't addressed. So this next, I would say 10, 12 games before Brady Tkachuk comes back, not to mention it is the horrific month of November. Buckle up, Sens fans, because we're in one this month, because once the games start coming, they're coming quick. The Senators will play Thursday, then the back-to-back on the weekend, then every other day that week. So
all at home at least, though.
Exactly, but they're going to come fast and furious here, and then when they get to that road trip, it's every other day throughout the entirety of it. So let's go. Let's have some great practices here for the Senators and get rolling, as the November curse is just waiting to be busted. So let's get rolling with that. One guy who's helped them get these wins is Drake Batherson. And it is situational irony that the day after the giveaway that cost the Senators the game in Montreal, Drake Batherson has been named the second star of the week. But one bad play, awful, horrendous, can't happen play, it also can't overshadow the fact that Drake Batherson was tied for the NHL lead in points with 8.
And he leads the Ottawa Senators in points total in 10 games. He's played 3 less games than most of these guys. He's got 5 goals, 10 assists, good for 15, 2 power play goals, 1 game-winning goal. So, yes, you got to take the good with the bad with Drake Batherson, unfortunately. But you got to look past that mistake and zoom out and look at the bigger picture. And he's been great. We talked about how Tim Stutzle has stepped up in Brady Tkachuk's absence. Well, you need a winger to step up as well, and Drake Batherson's been that guy.
He has 6 even strength points this week in 4 games, 8 points overall. He's a +5, 10 shots on goal while averaging 18 minutes and 20 seconds. It's the second time a Senator has been named a star of the week. Shane Pinto was the second star of the week the first week when he had 4 goals and an assist to start the season. So Batherson, I love his game against Montreal until the very end. He'll bounce back, though. What do you think of him? This is the second time, because he didn't speak on locker cleanout day. He was the only guy, and he declined to speak to the media after the game. Do you care at all about that?
Yes and no. I mean, you got to be accountable for your mistakes, but he did speak to the media today, and he owned up to it. I mean, there's not much you can say. Like Travis Green, they even asked Travis Green, like, hey, what do you say to Batherson after that? And he's like, some plays you don't need to say anything. Like,
yeah.
Everybody knows watching that game, playing in that game, or seeing that highlight on Twitter, everyone knows that Drake Batherson was solely at fault, or at the very least mostly at fault for that, and he can't be doing that. But I also, look, these guys are human. Like, to be interviewed and put on national TV and all over the internet minutes after you've just made the worst mistake of the game that cost you, it's tough. I can understand once in a while you just could be like, I know I effed up and I just don't want to face the media right now. I got to cool down, because then you say things you regret. Like, if people with everyday jobs, if you made a brutal mistake at work and then you had cameras and microphones shoved in your face asking you had you screwed up, it would lead to some wild, wild moments. So I understand it. He's human at the end of the day. And yes, these are athletes. It's part of their job to speak to the media and be accountable. They make a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. But if this happens once in a while, it doesn't bother me too much.
No, imagine that. You're leaving the cubicle, and right by the elevator, there's that tarp with a few sponsors set up on it, and you've got the HR standing beside you with like a suit on, just standing there, and people are just ripping you. What the heck happened, man? Did your Excel crash, or was that just a boneheaded mistake when you messed up on that? That's so funny. Pilsy.
Yes.
Well, it was nice seeing Carter Yakimchuk get 2 assists this weekend. Yak is leading all AHL rookie defensemen in scoring.
Yeah, you love to see that. It took him a little while to get going, but I think he's getting used to it. And yeah, he looks good out there. I watched the replay of that Belleville Senators 7-4 win over the Syracuse Crunch. Levi Merlainen playing in that game. So another instance where he got sent down and already has been recalled, but he made 38 saves on 42 shots. The Belleville Senators allow a lot of shots. I think that every single time I look at a box score, Ross, the goalies are dealing with either high 30s in shots or low 40s. But he was good. I would say even the goals he allowed, a bunch of them, or at least two I can think of in my mind, were off rebounds where he didn't have a chance. Nobody really picked up that extra man and got that puck out of there. So I think it's good that they're doing this, Ross. You got to take advantage of having the no waiver issue with Levi Merlainen, and you got to take advantage of the schedule, days off for the Sens. I said it in the offseason. I don't care what the scenario is, what the situation is. You got to get Levi Merlainen playing the games. And Ottawa Senators are finding ways to do that with, only 2 games in Ottawa, but sending him down to Belleville when it works out.
Yeah, and Belleville still without Matt Sogard, dealing with an injury. Yeah. So Hunter Shepard is the other guy who
Jackson Parsons up from ECHL, Ross. Hasn't played yet, but he's up there.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see when he can get into the lineup next for Belleville. And look, I'm not saying this to get ahead of myself. I said it 3 times just to be sure. Tyler Boucher has 6 points in 9 games.
Ross, you know what the better stat is there? Tyler Boucher has played 9 games.
Yeah. I'm just saying. That would be a nice development.
Keeps doing his thing. He leads the Ottawa Senators with 11 points, 10 of them assists.
Belleville.
Belleville. Sorry, my bad.
Tied for 11th in the league in points.
Yeah, my guy, Borgo, 8 points right behind him. And then, Bonjo, Kaliev, Boucher, Yak. And then there's a bunch of guys with 6. Then the list goes on. Donovan, Peelsy, all with 6 as well. So Belleville's finding ways to get it done here. And they started off poorly, but they bounced back nicely.
Yeah, they split the weekend that they had. They beat Syracuse, and then they they lost on Wednesday to Rochester, divisional matchup, then win the divisional matchup on the weekend. Their next game against an old friend. Now it's in Utica, but this will be their first time going up against Angus Crookshank, who is playing with Utica so far this season. We'll keep tabs on Belleville. We'll also keep tabs on the Wisconsins. And Blake Montgomery is starting to heat up. How about 2 goals in quick succession for him on the weekend? And they're undefeated in Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're dominating now. Again, I think that's a team that, or at least the Wisconsins, took a while to find their footing and get going. But now all of them, like Logan Hensler, scored again. So that's going to be an exciting team to watch. I'm so stoked about the Badgers.
Yeah, 4 goals in 3-game goal streak right now for Blake Montgomery. So you love to see it. Apparently, Logan Hensler was sick and did not play in that game, but he's got 3 points in 7 games, including 2 goals so far. Bruno's just got the 1 assist, and Tyson Dick's been in and out of the lineup, just 2 games, no points for him. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me, Ross, is I saw that you said you love the black helmets with the white jerseys. I got to be honest, when I first saw it on TV, I was like, oh, I don't know about it. But then I watched the replay and you see all the pictures after the game, and it's something a little different. And I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. I'll give an initial reaction 6 out of 10. So I think if they do it once in a while, it's kind of a cool look, but I don't want that to be their everyday away standard uniform. I don't know.
The kit.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the majority of Sens fans felt that way. 45% on our poll said meh. Slightly higher on hate it, though, than love it by 3%. Now we got final voting in. Chase Wisco, Sens fan, so he's living the dream right now with the Badgers, too. Our guy said, depends on the final score of the game. So
fair.
I like that. Yeah, hey. Don't change it if it's winning, but hopefully the Senators will even it out. You know what? I don't know if this is an old school, like I'm getting old take, but there's been too many jerseys moving around this year. Like they've used the red ones 3 times already. Like They've used the black helmets. Like, just give me the kits for a couple of games.
Yeah, that's such a old school take when you get upset about the jersey colors. But yeah, they're supposed to play 13 with the Reds, so they've already played 3, so they got 10 more. I'd like to see them mostly at home also. I don't want to see too many of them on the road.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many more coming up on the road with that. But the road to Thursday continues, and we got a great interview coming up on the show tomorrow. It will be the executive producer of Prime's, what do they call the series?
Monday Night Hockey.
No.
Oh, Face Off. Sorry.
Face Off, presented by the NHL and Prime Video. So a really cool behind the scenes, what it was like working with Brady Tkachuk. Who would he like to see next season from the Ottawa Senators on this beautiful behind the scenes show that they've been putting on now for 2 seasons. And then Wednesday, I'm not going to tease it any more than saying one of the highest likability ratings of anyone surrounding the Ottawa Senators will be on, and it's a first-time guest. We'll leave it at that for now. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Really helps us out there. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.